Scan the audience. Alright, you go.
I will be giving my speech today on why paying college athletes should be done, and I will be giving it with an emphasis on college football. Now, I'd like my audience to just think about this. Think about working in an industry that generates billions of dollars each year. Which, I mean, wouldn't be a bad thing. It sounds like a good idea. But you're not being paid at all. And you're the hard-working backbone of that industry. That's what college football is. College football players are working 40 to 50 hours a week at practice and not being paid. They are being exploited. That's what exploitation is. Working in the industry and not being paid for your hard work. They're the ones making it drive. They're the ones whose names are being made money on. But none of that goes to them. And a scholarship just isn't enough anymore. There needs to be more. There are many shortcomings of a scholarship nowadays. And I will show you that to you throughout this. And also, with those 40 to 50 hours a week in practice, games, traveling, it is not possible to maintain a job. It is also against NCAA rules for these kids to market themselves through agents, their own jerseys, signing autographs, and that was from Hartnett from the Huffington Post. Now, as I talk about this, I want my audience to consider more than just the education that these kids are getting, and more than just the scholarship, because there's much more out there than that. These kids are working hard with very little reward. I want to do a quote from Arian Foster when he was in college at Tennessee. Arian Foster, I called my coach and I said, "Coach, we don't have no food. We don't have any money. We are hungry. Either you give us some food or I'm going to do something stupid." And Arian Foster called his coach and told him that, and he brought some of the guys tacos and some other food for these kids to eat. Now, the coach doing that would be an NCAA violation. Bringing these kids that were hungry food. It is not allowed. That's like paying players or anything else. Arian Foster also went on to say that he was accepting money on the side. Now, there is a need for the basics. These kids need clothes, food, outside of their meal plan in college. And if they're off campus, 86% of them are living below poverty line. And that was also from Hartnett of the Huffington Post. And these kids are practicing and playing, as I said, 40 to 50 hours a week. So maintaining a job outside of this is practically impossible, having 14 hours of school, 20 hours of work, plus 40 to 50 hours of practice just is not possible for a college student. Also, these scholarships are not enough. Alright, yeah, they're going to give you a scholarship to come play sports there, but look at North Carolina for an instance. They have these paper classes where these kids go, they write a paper, which they probably don't do anyways, which they came out and said, and they give them an A. That's all that they have to do for this class in 3 credit hours, which just isn't right. And at the end of this, when their playing days are over, there's no way of getting a scholarship. Also, Fowler, from Sports Illustrated, found out that scholarships shortfall of $3,222 per player, meaning that those are what those kids need to live. These kids are also not allowed to market themselves at all. There's a couple things that people got in trouble for autographs, and the first one is Todd Gurley. This is more recent than the Johnny Manziel case, but Todd Gurley accepted $3,000 for autographs, and he was suspended for a few games for doing so. And I mean, that was money that the kid probably needed, in all honesty, but this is from Sports Illustrated from Staples, but he was suspended multiple games for marketing himself to other people and offering his autographs. Johnny Manziel was kind of in a similar situation, but was never found really guilty of accepting money for his autographs. He would only be suspended for a half a game. The university receives a lot of money for these kids' jerseys and also memorabilia that has to do with these kids' names. So while they're collecting stuff on these kids' names, the kids aren't allowed to touch any of that money, and they're receiving zero of it. Adrian Peterson, in an interview with ESPN, said, Johnny Manziel made Texas A&M a lot of money. When I was at Oklahoma, they also made a lot of money off of me. Now that you see there's a need for money and what's going on with these kids and the schools marketing them without them being able to touch any of the money, there is a true problem. There's the pay-to-play system now, and this is what is being considered. There are two different ideas out there for setting up a pay-to-play. The first one is a stipend. It would be between $2,000 and $5,000 max. This idea has already been approved by the major 5 conferences and is kind of gaining traction. They just have to implement it now, as it was approved over the summer. And this is from Koba of CNBC. The $5,000 max would be given out to football players and others that would play for these Big 5 conferences. So outside of these conferences, no one else would receive this $5,000. And also, this amount is not talent-based, which is nice because it won't defer someone from going to Florida over Alabama or anything else because they offer more money. Now, there is also another thing of contracts, allowing these kids to contract with agents and give out autographs and all that other stuff, practically like a pro player, which I'm not a big supporter of, but there's people like Jay Bilas who is a huge supporter of it, and Hartnett of Huffington Post interviewed him on that, and he truly believes these kids are being exploited because they cannot market themselves. There would also be bonuses and penalties. If they would stay their 4th year of college to play football, they would receive a bonus of pay. But if they were to leave, they would be penalized and they'd have to pay money for leaving early. And the money would also be contracted, so there would be money based on talent. Giving some kids more money would, I think, persuade people from going to a college they may like or have tradition for, rather than just playing for whoever. And this would also get rid of the fact that you wouldn't get in trouble for marketing yourself or selling autographs, which is always a good thing, I guess. Since I hope that this conveys a little bit more of it, now that you understand there's a problem, fixing that problem is the main goal. Imagine working hard all week and not being paid. It would just be awful to work for 40, 50 hours a week, and at the end, with all your hard work, not get anything. I really, truly think stipends are the way to go. They truly cover the needs of clothes, food, transportation, anything these kids might need outside their scholarship. And the stipends are affordable to most D1 schools. We cannot continue to ignore this, and we truly need to help these kids out. There are majority of athletes living below the poverty line. In conclusion, I hope I have conveyed the information given in a true, meaningful way that everyone can understand and want to take action. By writing letters to NCAA officials or to coaches, this would truly help out these kids and help them get their stipends and other things. And they deserve to get their fair share of the money, being that only 1.7% of them will eventually get their big payday to the NFL. I'd like to thank you for listening, and I hope I've provided good evidence for you.